All right. Once again, we are back at it. Today we got Drew and his son Leith Ness. How you guys doing today?
Good, you?
I'm good, thank you. So let's talk moto, man. Let's get into the conversation. I'm curious about a little bit about your back history and how it all began for Leith. Now, Drew, I know you were a racer. I don't know if you're still kind of turning wrenches, throttles here and there. I know you wrench as well, but tell me a little bit about your racing before you actually came over to Canada.
Yeah, I raced back in Scotland. I raced enduro. Mainly weekends would be racing enduro through forests, kind of like your cross country idea.
Okay.
On time, we would race motocross on weekends here and there to help with a kind of aggression for your special stages section of that. So I raced that through Clubman. And then through Expert, which the Expert would now be deemed pro for a while. And then I kind of switched out to mainly motocross, but I also did some beach enduro racing. Now, 3 times I've raced the Western Supermare Beach Race.
Oh, wow.
And 1 time the Latuke Beach Enduro in northern France. Yeah, they're both kind of crazy races. Weston, 1 year I rode charitably. So you go straight to Sunday's race, raise some money, and so on. And then the following year I raced the Saturday's qualifier, which is you got like 700 riders, 3 hours long. I can't remember what the cut was. Made the cut. I was 35th. Nice. And then you go into Sunday's race. There was a bit of one particular year I did it, there was a bit of fuss, but crashing at the start, and ambulances running all over the place. So, bit mentally detuned. But once we finally got going, I was a lap down, and I think that year I came in 135th out of 1,200 riders. So,
man.
It's a painful race. Those are painful races where the sand's down your shirt, down your pants, and you can see salt. Yeah. You got you got ocean water there, which is salty.
Yes.
And it's painful, but it's a great sense of achievement. And I had some kind of strange fun doing it, you might say. And then some years later, I immigrated to Canada and kind of picked up the motocross scene here, which is, Canada or America. It's a big scene, lots going on, lots of levels of clubs. So I got really back into it. Yeah, I've not ridden in a couple of years now, maybe. Well, raced it rather.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not done yet. I still have the bike.
Nice.
So, yeah, I spend more time fixing, and I see it with my friends that have got kids that I would race with the dads. The kids race with each other. I see how busy and frustrating it can be for them trying to ride. And some of them have done what I do now. They spend a bit more time with the kids, especially when they're now coming up through the ranks to where it's getting important, you might say. So you got to take that sort of back seat, and that's fine.
So you wrench as well too, huh? So I take it you do all the work on Leith's bike or bikes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a mechanic to trade cars many years ago. But now I work at a golf club, so there's some smaller engines, but diesel engines, a lot of hydraulic work, electrical over hydraulic.
Okay.
It's getting quite advanced, that whole industry. So, but I've been tearing apart engines on bikes, on motorcycles since probably I was 7.
Okay.
8-year-old.
Okay.
It was in the family, still is. My uncle and grandfather restored vintage motorcycles from usually around in the 1920s.
Wow.
Right to concours condition, and they showed them at vintage shows and stuff. So the whole thing began real early, and me and my uncle taught us how to ride bikes. We rode together, we raced together. So that's where that whole background of working on stuff came from. I wanted to come out of school to be a carpenter, and was pre-planning for it, if you want to call it that. And my uncle got me the job, or advised me to go for this job that he reckoned I could get, and I did. And the rest is history, really.
Okay, so your hands are pretty diverse when it comes to working on things. So there's no problem with you working on Leith's bikes at all, and keeping them going.
No.
So, how much racing did you guys actually get done within the last 2 years, as far as with COVID breaking out?
Well, we lucked out here, eh? Like we, Ontario, Ryan Gauld from AMO, he was able to get the season in 2020 started. It was later. I can't quite remember now if it was maybe June. And you know what? We had a pretty good. Well, we didn't. He got broken, but we got into the season, and I think the season went pretty well for them. Some good numbers, and then 2021, it just grenaded the sport. It was huge.
Yeah.
You know, guys coming out with the woodwork that had maybe never ridden in years, and it was just every class was packed. So it was good. It was good racing, good gates. So yeah, no, we just like pretty much every weekend.
Okay.
And then your nationals in the August there. And then the Triple Crown would come through, so we did some of the amateurs on that.
Okay.
And then Supercross.
I did some Supercross as
with
well.
again Triple Crown. Amateur, the amateur Supercross with them, but busy, lots of racing.
Okay, so last year, right, Leith, was your first year as a full-time intermediate, pretty much?
No, this year coming out will be my first year.
Oh, this year's your first year, so you haven't gotten any intermediate races in at all last year?
No, none.
Okay, so you're jumping from the novice class to the intermediate class now.
Yeah, pretty much.
And how'd you make out last year? Did you point out where you kind of had to join the intermediate, or you felt like you were ready for it?
I feel like junior, it was a good year to. I was in my right class last year after I broke my arm the year before, because it sent me back a little bit. But near the end of last year, when I was pointing out and did good at Walton, I feel like I'm ready now. Okay.
So you feel like there's going to be a big difference between. Because I personally feel that there is a big jump between novice and intermediate. I feel like almost in every class, the top 3 to 5 guys, depending on who they are always the next class up. You know, they're fast enough where they can be in that next class. Do you feel that you're ready for a full year of intermediate?
Yeah, I think I'm ready. There's definitely a big jump between junior and intermediate, especially. There is a big jump between most classes, but junior to intermediate especially is a big jump, because the motos get like 10 minutes longer, and everyone's putting way more money into the sport, and everyone in that class is obviously trying to go pro. So
exactly,
it's a lot more difficult.
That is true. Was I going to say
a lot of times? The classes last year with. At Walton Transcon, for example, the Schoolboy 2 class, it was weighted up the front there to maybe, top 10? But they were all intermediates.
Okay.
And, the times were there for those guys, as were the youth class. Again, there's some, which is a bit of a mix. I think it's beginner, junior, intermediate. There were some intermediates in there. There was even 450 guys in there. So, they just got to raise the aggression bar and raise the budget bar, and I think should be fun.
Yeah, I think for like the novice guys, because I raced quite a bit of novice, I raced intermediate. For me, it was not saying it's for everybody, but for me, it's you got to push yourself the whole race. Like intermediates are doing every jump consistent every lap. Where novice is, you make a mistake, you won't jump something, you'll go, it's not every lap. But this time, you kind of got to push the bar open for you, push the bar a little bit for yourself. Mentally, physically, it's a different ball game once you get there, and then from there is nothing but pros, from that point on. So I take it, your goal is to be pro.
Oh yeah, for sure. I want to be a pro one day. I mean, that's the whole goal of racing. It's try to get to the pro ranks,
Exactly. Now a lot of guys are heading down south, man. What kept you guys from going, getting your training, and what are you doing to stay in shape for the season to kick off, man? Before the season kicks off, what are you doing? Because intermediate, these guys are gonna, they're gonna bring it. So, what are you doing to prep yourself for that?
Well, this year with COVID and everything, we were not vaccinated, so we couldn't go down to the States really. So just my own training regime at home, to stay in shape. It's gonna be tough, I think, not being on the bike for so long, the whole winter. But I'm pretty adaptable, and I pick it up quick again. So I think I should be good.
Now, are you doing all the Triple Crown stuff this year? Are you going to do some warm up races prior to that to kind of get your feet wet a little bit? What's on your calendar for this year?
Well, yeah, hopefully some of the earlier AMO races before the Triple Crown start, we can, knock off some of the rust. But I don't think too much playing in the earlier stuff yet.
No, I'm hoping we lose some snow and can maybe get out. 2 or 3 weeks and punch some good laps, whether it's at a facility or a private track. We got one fairly close to us here.
Okay.
And before, I mean, I like to treat the AMO stuff like you mean it as well. I mean, you're still putting money into the sport, and maybe some guys don't take it as serious. It's not that I take it really serious, but when you go in a race and the gate drops, it's dropping for a reason, right?
Yeah.
So we'll make use of them, and we'll have for any national stuff or any Triple Crown, you should have some good time to get warmed up and you'll get into it. But we're hoping we can resume the southern stuff next year.
Okay.
Because I think it does help a lot.
And have you guys been down south at all? I mean, throughout your career, coming up through the ranks up to this point?
Yeah, we pretty much from 60s all the way to the end of Super Mini, we would go down south for at least a couple of weeks. But past few years with COVID, it's been hard.
Yeah. Have you did any racing down that way?
Yeah, not too much. We've done a couple of the Ricky Carmichael Supercross at Daytona and some Minios. The Minios year was fun.
So you've done some good heated racing, man, out there. A couple things is pretty good on that resume, that's for sure. So how was your novice year? Your last year in novice, how'd you make out that year?
In my opinion, it was really good, especially since I broke my arm the year before and I had 9 months off, I think. So I came back and it was a little bit tough at first because I was hopping from a 125 onto a 250. So it was a little bit hard to switch from 2-stroke to 4-stroke. But once I got the hang of the pace up, get some good results in, and then we had some good Triple Crown races, but it was a little bit inconsistent, and so we had some camps with my trainer and stuff, and we were trying to just fix out all little kinks, and then when it came time for Walton, everything kind of just clicked and it went really well. Good.
And how many wins do you have, or do you have any championships as a novice, or any wins as a novice?
Last year at the the Walton Transcan, I had a youth, beginner, junior, intermediate championship. That was really cool. Especially I haven't had much luck at Walton over my whole career, so that was cool. And then I got a third overall in junior, 250 junior. So
that's good, man. Congratulations on that. It's weird because I hear weird things about Walton, like either they're doing good or they're not doing good at all. There's like no medium.
No. and it rained.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it rained real hard the first couple days.
Okay. So what are you expecting out of yourself, man? As a intermediate, like, what do you want to do? How do you want to finish? Like, are you pushing to win? Are you pushing to learn? Are you doing a little bit of everything? What are you expecting from yourself?
Well, I think this year a lot of my competitors are down south and they're all getting some ride time in. So I think this year it's a completely new class, completely new environment with all the racers. Everyone's more aggressive. So I think this year is a bit more of a learning year than pushing for top results. You know, I just want to get the flow of intermediate before I go for a really good year. But I mean, hopefully we get some good results. But
okay. So I know you're intermediate now, and you said you want to be pro, but do you want to take pro, like, because there's tons of pros, and I talk about this all the time. There's tons of pros just about every city, everywhere you go. How do you feel like you're different from any of those other pros? And you're still young. You still got plenty enough time to develop. And maybe I shouldn't even be asking you this question, but being so young, knowing that you have time to develop, but most kids your age, all they do is want to turn pro. But once you get to the pro ranks, where do you feel like you want to be?
Well, obviously I want to be at the top spot. Everyone wants to be at the top spot. But I think going in with some good unrealistic expectations isn't always the best thing, but I have some pretty good confidence in myself, and I think I'm a pretty smooth rider. So I think I could be in the top 5. Maybe going for championships one day. But
okay, sometimes you'll have those races where they feel like setbacks, and you'll start thinking, and then something will just click. And then all of a sudden you're hanging with some of these top guys on a regular basis, so it's always room for improvement. It's always room to learn and to develop in the sport, man, for sure. Now, do you have anybody that's out there supporting you, or is it just Drew Ness Racing? How is that?
Right now we've got a bunch of supporters.
Okay, good. OG's
tons
FXR.
People, I don't think we could do without. Oh yeah, OG's FXR right here.
Yes.
I don't really think we could do without them. Sport's really expensive. They help us out so much.
I know.
I can't do enough.
That's what kind of kept me from. I believe that was kind of one of my downfalls as a youth, because my father wasn't never in the picture when I was growing up, but I was always around motocross ever since I was a kid, and so when I started racing, it was kind of like my own thing. You know what I mean? And I started getting some sponsors here and there along the lines, but I wasn't able to really get into my racing until I was like 23. I mean, I raced when I was younger, much younger, and I rode ever since I was 3 years of age. But I've always rode tracks, but racing didn't really hit me until I was about 13 years old. So,
yeah.
You got plenty enough time to develop, to hone your skills, to get better, to look for rides and sponsors, and just keep pushing for it. Try to stay away from them broken arms that'll keep you away for 9 months.
Yeah.
Definitely. So it was nice talking to you guys, man. Is there any stories you want to share before we wrap this thing up? I know your dad has quite a few, but what about you, Leith?
I'm not sure, honestly.
Yeah. No worries, man. We caught you on the spot. It's all good, buddy, man. I'm sure you got stories somewhere along those lines. But we'll catch up with you, once you get kicked off out there in the season. I'd like to see you ride. I'm like the type of guy who really kind of like studies the way people ride. Just the little things that people do, and I try to not mimic, but I try to see the differences between the riders and their styles. And some guys have just a raw, hard, just speed style. Some guys ride with more finesse. It's just different. I'm curious what your riding style is, being so young. And so as a rider, who did you look up into racing? Like, who was some of your idols, when you were growing up racing as a kid?
Well, obviously my dad, every young racer has a dad, but
yes,
I think in Canada, I always admired the way Cole Thompson rides. He's really smooth. Down to the point, really, the way he rides just hits his marks all the time. He's just crazy consistent. And then
true.
I always liked watching Ken Rocks in the States too, just crazy speed,
Yeah. Yeah, he's another good. Really doesn't look like he's pushing that hard, but he rides so smooth. Like you really can't tell that he's pushing that hard, but he's that fast. You know, it's like back in the early days, there was guys like David Villeman had this kind of real loose riding style. You know, that was really different. There's a few guys out there that had this like finesse, real like I would call it like an elegance riding style to me. You know. Yeah. And some guys just like to blast through everything, but it's interesting. But I like to see how you do, man. I like to see how your riding style is and how you're developing as an intermediate racer, you know, being so young, with this being your first year as an intermediate. I know it's going to be a different ball game changer for you. But
my guy was Dave Thor.
Dave Thor?
You remember David Thor?
I don't remember David Thor, but take me down memory lane.
David Thor was he ended up being 3-time 500cc world motocross champion.
Okay.
So just when you talk about Cole being smooth, I always remember British Championship coming to a place, Glenaford Braes, near Glasgow.
Okay.
And there was Dave Thorpe. He had this big setup, his big motorhome, this huge white tent, like for like a truck could fit under. And his Lotus Esprit was sitting there. And Dave came off the back. The bike went into this tent, and here's all the Japanese guys, all in white coveralls,
wow,
ready to just take his bike. He went into the motorhome with his girlfriend to relax and. But when he was riding the track there that day, he was probably, I don't know, 500 to 1,000 feet or whatever ahead of Kurt Nichol.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the pack behind Dave, we could see how they were riding in desperation to catch him. And Dave just looked like he was on cruise control. It was remarkable to see it. It was like absolutely effortless.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I actually raced beside him.
Oh, really?
One of the second year I did, he was the boss of the Cat Finning Honda team, I think, at the time. So he was riding a 252 stroke Honda at the Western Supermare Beach Race. And I was riding a 500cc Honda, and the bike was jetted up to like 192 jet. I think we had 1536 sprocket set. So these things are tramping on at like 100 mile an hour up there's like a 3-kilometer beach straight.
Oh, wow.
But it's just all out. And then you turn into all the man-made dunes. And Dave Thorpe went by me. I looked sideways, and here's Thorpe's number. And he went by me in a 250.
Really?
Dave Thorpe, yeah. He was 3-time 500cc champ.
Okay. Yeah. Memories, man. Memories. I know about those quite well. And we all have them, no matter how old or how young you are. Motocross is motocross. It'll plant memories in your head for sure throughout the years. Well, gentlemen, I want to say thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Leith.
Thank you for having
Drew,
us.
not a problem. I'd love to get you guys back on the show. Let's get your racing going. Well, I tell this to everybody. I know I got a lot of work to do this summer because I'm telling everybody I want them back on the show, and I want to get videos and photos of them. But I will once I get out there, man. I'll get out there, shake you guys' hands, talk it with you guys, and we'll go from there, man. We'll pick it up, man. Start the relationship. This is how it begins.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, thank you, Drew. I appreciate your stories. Leith.
You bet.
I'm always throwing your name off just slightly, just a little bit, but I'll get it, Leith. I'll get it, Leith. But thank you, brother. I appreciate you guys coming on to the show, man, and thank you for tuning in to Blacklisted. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button.